Well, mums and dads, boys and girls, you're in for a treat this evening. Our World Championship Camp Draft is about to get underway. But before we do, could I ask you all to please be upstanding? Gentlemen, to remove your hats as Paige Peters performs the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by seas. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strength, and let us sing, advance Australia fair. Beneath our radiant Southern Cross, we'll toil with hearts and hands to make this commonwealth of ours renowned of all the lands. For those who've come across the seas with boundless plains to share, with courage let us all combine to advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Well, beautifully sung by Paige Peters, a brilliant young horsewoman herself from a long line of women who have had success in the show ring. But speaking of a man who has been synonymous with horse sports and the show ring here in Australia, he's the voice of polocrosse, he's the voice of Camp Draft. He's been coming here for more years than I've been alive. Jimmy Callinan's going to take us through the World Championship Camp Draft.
Well, thank you very much, Lindsay, and I must get you to write a reference out for me sometime. Sounds great. Okay, thank you very much, but I'd also like to welcome our Camp Draft judges as well. Mr. Ken McCarthy from Kempsey and Mr. Matt McCormick from Casino. Welcome here for the 2021 Sydney Royal Easter Show World Championship Camp Draft. And once again, a big thank you to Alison Pastoral Company, to the Packer family, Rob Teague, the General Manager, and Scott Mitchell, and the team up at Alison. Once again, many, many thanks. And this evening, we've got the Angus Cross Heifers, the Black Boilies. First round, we had the straight black, the Angus Heifers. Tonight, we've got the Angus Cross, a wonderful line, once again, of the Black Boilie Heifers.
Well, Jim Callinan, our first riders in camp, he's only 24 years old. Josh Barnett from Singleton. Last year at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, he won one of the rounds out here and he took out the equal highest score in the World Championship Camp Draft. Last night, he got a score of 90, which put him in third place in round one, riding a horse called Duckrageous.
Well, George has got the nod from our two judges, Skippy McCarthy and Matt McCormick. So he's about to make his selection. He's just trying to get the beast to get out here on the edge so he can get a clean cutout. He's only taking one. He only wants one up the front. So he just takes a stride one way and a stride back the other. So he's just hoping for her to walk out onto her own. So he says, I think now's the time. And Duckrageous says, okay, let's go. We press the buttons. And they come right up to the face of the camp out of a possible score of 26 points here in the cattle camp. He does the one, he does the two, the three. He's about to call for it. Yes, he does now. Calls for the gate and he goes across, and a good block there as well. This is Josh Barnett and Duck Rages now round the first peg. Oh, things are looking pretty good. Round number 1, 2, here we go. Around the first peg, and he's about to do the changer. Oh, he says, let's go now, Duck Rages. Around the second peg they come. And look here, girls and boys, mums and dads, I think we better get ready. Around the second peg, and the heifer says, it's great out here in the Giant Stadium. Okay, and Ed and Richard and Beck, you better warm the hands up. I think you should start clap, 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 and it is Champagne Campdrafting. Round number 2, first competitor, Josh Barnett.
Oh, what a way to start round 2. Josh Barnett there on the 10-year-old mare he calls Gracie at home. Looking forward to that score. Next in camp, you'll see Cody Law. I had a good chat with Cody this afternoon. He was wandering around the showgrounds. He's on a horse called Yarrawa Guns and Roses, the 11-year-old gelding who was 3rd in the World Championship Camp Draft here in 2019. They were 6th in the Warwick Gold Cup. They've been really successful at a heap of opens and ladies and novices.
Score now for Josh Barnett with Duck Rages, 22.5 for cutout, 62.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 89 points. 89 points there for Duck Rages, ridden by Josh Barnett.
Well, Cody Law in camp now, the proud father of 2. His daughter watching on today, a grazier, camp drafting for 35 years. He only got a cutout score last night. He's competed here back in 2004, came back again in 2019, and had a bit of success at the last Sydney Royal Easter Show.
So Cody Law and his wife Nat, son Riley and daughter Hannah, they're the cheer squad, plus all the rest of the people here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. So let's get ready to ride with Cody Law. And the Australian stock horse mare, Yarrawa Guns and Roses. The Australian Stock Horse Society celebrating their 50th anniversary, 2021. And Cody Law steps out into the Giant Stadium, onto the dance floor, and they've got a fast-running heifer as well. And around the first peg they come. Things are looking good. And Guns and Roses. Oh, and now they do the changeover. It says yes. And Cody Law pulls the trigger on Guns and Roses around the second peg. Says, I'll let her run down here just a little wider. Comes around, and you know what he's going to do now? He's going to go for the quick changeover. The quick changeover. Look at the mare's change strides. Boys and girls, Natalie, oh, better get ready. And Riley and Hannah, there it is. 2 out of 2. Champagne Camp Drafting. World Championship Camp Draft. Brought to you at the compliments of Tyrrell's.
Well, Tyrrell's famous for their VAT1 semi on. It's won over 5,000 awards worldwide. And next in camp is a man that deserved to champagne at the last Sydney Royal. He won the event all 6 nights. Been camp drafting for only 6 years. He's 53 years old from Queensland. He's been drafting for not a terribly long time. Riding a horse called Fig.
Cody Law with Yarrawa Guns and Roses, 21 for cutout, 61.5 for horsework. 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 85.5 points. 85.5 points there for Yarrawa Guns and Roses, ridden by Cody Law.
Well, the sire of this horse you see out there now, Fig, was actually a USA Futurity champion at the NCHA.
So Bruce comes right up the face of the camp. He's going for the big points here in round number 2. Calls for the gate. Now steps out here onto this wonderful surface in the Giant Stadium, and it's a left-hand course around the first peg. Oh, taking the leaves off the first peg. And Fig says, leave the footwork to me, Bruce. You just press the buttons, and he's going to tighten things up. And look here, around the second peg. And Fig says, yes, we've got it all under control, Bruce. He's going to do a quick change over here. He presses the GPS. He says, ride towards the member stand. It's Bruce Coulthard and Fig, and come on. Oh! Well. Well,
they had a great score last night, an 89.5. And your next rider in camp is Paige Nancarrow, a young lady, 24 years old. She's been camp drafting for 10 years, but this is her very first time at Sydney Royal Easter Show. She rode out first last night. Can you imagine how nerve-wracking that would have been? But she did herself proud, got a score of 27 on night one at her first time at the Sydney Royal. Riding a 7-year-old mare called One Stylish Oak.
Okay, score coming through for Bruce Coulthard and Fig, 20 for cutout, 60 for horsework. 3-course point, a total of 83. 83 points for Fig, ridden by Bruce Coulthard. So Paige Nancarrow makes her debut here at the World Championship Campdraft at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. So, Paige, about to make her selection. She gets it now. One Stylish Oak says, yes, it feels good here. I'm ready to get out onto the dance floor. She calls for the gate. Or she gets a tricky one. Says, I want to go back down here to my sisters. So she just takes her time, a little bit of patience, no rush. Doesn't want to upset anything too much. One Stylish Oak, Paige Nancarrow. She says, yes, I'm ready to go. And here she is. She enters the Giant Stadium. And look at One Stylish Oak. She steps right up here onto the Angus Cross heifer. And they come around the first peg and looks pretty good. She says, I wish her now. Now she changes buttons. And look here. This is camp drafting right up on the beast's shoulder. And One Stylish Oak, Paige Nancarrow. Now 3 out of 4 for the course. Going to go for the quick changeover. Let's ride with the boys and girls, mums and dads. Let's ride with Paige. Make her feel welcome with the Sydney Royal Easter Show. And oh, yes.
Oh, she's certainly stamping her name out here on the Sydney Royal Easter Show showground. A first-time competitor will take 2 full round scores through from the first 2 nights. Well, next in camp as we wait for that score is Adam Sadler. He was equal second here in 2018 on a different horse, Tajano Spin. He's out here tonight on Raven Acres, an 11-year-old mare that was successful as the all-round camp draft horse in 2019 at the ABCRA.
Paige Nancarrow, One Stylish Oak, 17 for cutout, 63 for horsework, 4 course points, a total of 84 points. 84 points there for One Stylish Oak, ridden by Paige Nancarrow.
Well, Jim Callanan, we were talking about the importance of consistency, getting a nice big score out here every night, and Paige is certainly doing that in her first 2 nights.
There's no doubt about that, Lindsay.
Well, Adam Sadler now, camp drafting for 30 years. This is his 4th time being invited to the Sydney Royal Easter Show World Championship Camp Draft.
So, Adam Sadler, here he comes. Raven Acres, around the first peg. Oh, look here, right around nice and tight. Oh, Adam Sadler, the footwork. Now, changes strides. He's going to try and tighten over the second peg. He's going to tighten it right up. Boys and girls, mums and dads, you better start to get those hands ready. Adam Sadler, Raven Acres. Look at this for a gate. Look here. Look here. Clap, clap, clap. Get the Tyrrells out.
Oh, Jim Callanan, I'm getting goosebumps all over whenever you tell us to clap, clap, clap through that gate. What a fantastic ride there. He was certainly looking to improve on night 1, only got 18 for a cutout score, and we look forward to seeing that score through for Adam in a moment. But in camp now is Wyatt Young, another of the young ones, 24 years old from Tamworth. He was 4th here at the last Sydney Royal Easter Show on this very horse, a 14-year-old mare called Cedar Vale Twist.
Adam Sadler with Raven Acres, 22.5 for cutout, 65 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, total of 91.5 points. 91.5 points for Raven Acres, ridden by Adam Sadler.
Well, that'll give him the highest score so far for this round. The horse trainer and grazier. 16 years of camp drafting.
and works his way up the face of the camp there now, and he steps out into the Giant Stadium. Here on the dance floor is the man of the moment, and Rio just scrapes around the top side of the first peg. Around the first peg they come. Now White Young and Cedar Vale Twist. Now he says, well, just waiting for any twist, we're ready. And look here, look at Cedar Vale Twist. White Young, around the second peg they come. Now he just waits to toe a little bit deep. Now you'll look for the quick changeover. Look here, straight towards the member stand. He wants to be treated by royalty. Well, we'll leave that one in the hands of our judge, but give me a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. White Young.
Well, we should explain the points to the boys and girls and mums and dads that may not have seen camp drafting before. Our judges will award up to 26 points in the camp. That's where you see the cattle now and our current rider, Troy Palmer, on his beautiful Palomino. And that's where our judge adjudicates just how well the beast was cut from the herd. Then they head out on the course and they get a point for each of the pegs and 1 point for the gate. Sorry, 2 for the first peg, 1 for the second peg, 1 for the gate. And then 70 points is awarded by our judge, or up to 70 points for horsework. This is Troy Palmer now. He came out on night 1 and got a huge score of 91.5. That was the second highest score of the night. He's been camp drafting for 38 years and been to the Sydney Royal at least 15 times by my count.
White Young with Cedar Vale Twist scored 23 for cutout, 23 points for Cedar Vale Twist, ridden by White Young. Okay, number 7 in round 2, Troy Palmer and Jabel Shakira spin. And around, look here, he's setting things up here. Look, Troy Palmer and Shakira spin around the first peg. Gives a little bit of a bump. That's a great bit of horsework there by Troy Palmer and Jabel Shakira spin. They do the changeover. He presses the GPS and around the second peg and he tightens it right up. Now, just sits back a little bit. He said, I'll let the heifer run on. She's very cooperative as well. Now, look here. Come on, Sydney. Let's get behind the Palomino mare and Troy Palmer. And look here. Clap, clap, clap again. And I know that Mal and Jane Kennedy, they're in the grandstand. They'll be absolutely over the moon.
Well, another great ride out here tonight by Troy Palmer. Terry Hannigan's next in camp on a 15-year-old mare he calls Ricky at home. It's Smart Auslan Pastures Ricky. They've won several open drafts in the last 2 years and made the final of Canning Downs in Warwick in 2019.
Troy Palmer with Jabel Shakira spin scored 23.5 for cutout, 63 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 90.5 points. 90.5 points for Jabel Shakira spin, ridden by Troy Palmer.
2 scores over 90 for 2 nights for Troy Palmer. He's setting the bar pretty high for this competition. Terry Hannigan now, the farmer from Canamble.
So Terry comes right up the face of the camp. He's gone for the big points as well out of the possible score of 26, and he steps out onto the stadium now. And here we go. Terry Hannigan, Auslan's Pastures, Ricky. And Ricky says, yes, it feels pretty good out here, Terry. Now the lovely Angus Cross heifer, and he's going to tighten it up around the second peg. And I'm pretty sure Robin will be riding with him. She says, come on, hubby. Come on, hubby. Come on, Ricky. Terry Hannigan, can he do it? Can he do it? He heads towards the member stand. It's looking good. Terry Hannigan from Canamble, and it's clap, clap, clap again.
Building on a score of 80 from round 1, Terry Hannigan and Ricky. Well, Alison Sadler, the 38-year-old mum and farmhand from Bunnan, heads into the camp. She's married to a man called Adam Sadler, who's riding out here in this draft. She's been drafting for 30 years, but it's her very first time competing at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. But she's no rookie. She's won the ladies section at the ABCRA Australian Championship back in 2005. She was runner-up Lady Rider of the Year in 2019.
Terry Hannigan with Auslan's Pastures Ricky, 21.5 for cutout, 63 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 88.5 points for Terry Hannigan and Auslan Pastures Ricky. Here we go. Now, Alison Sadler and smart spin and feck around the first peg. Now she's going to do the changeover. The ever-smiling Ali Sadler. Oh, yes, around the second peg. Alison Sadler now. You can see her starting to smile. Now she's starting to smell the Tyrrells, and she heads over towards the gate. And look at her ride now. Come on, Sydney. Come on, Sydney. Clap, clap, clap. Here she is, Ali Sadler. And smart spin and feck.
Well, one of the wonderful things about Ali Sadler is if you're sitting out in the crowd thinking, gee, that looks like a lot of fun, but I don't have a horse and I'm not from a horsey background. Well, that is Ali Sadler's story. Didn't grow up around horses. Her parents weren't involved in them at all. She got a horse when she was younger, riding lessons from Brian Henderson, and look at her go now.
And a score coming through, Lindsay, for Alison Sadler and smart spin and feck of 22 for cutout, 64.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 90.5. 90.5 points for smart spin and feck, ridden by Alison Sadler.
Well, that puts her into equal second place tonight with Troy Palmer. Adam Sadler still out in front. Hubby is in number 1 position. This is Andrew Chapman now.
Andrew Chapman now with Acres Mercury. Now out into the big giant stadium, and Acres Mercury. And Andrew Chapman says, I'll just let this heifer run on a little bit. Comes around the first peg. Acres Mercury just sits back a little bit. He says, when you're ready, boss, I'm ready to go. And Andrew says, let's tighten it up a little bit now. Around the second peg they come. Acres Mercury, Andrew Chapman. Now they come back around the second peg. Now you'll start to tighten it up from here on in, boys and girls, mums and dads. Kenny has time. Will he get time? Heads towards the members stand. He's looking for, yes, can they? Yes, they can. Andrew Chapman and Acres Mercury.
Well, Andrew Chapman there taking the long way round, but they got there with the 14-year-old stallion. And Tyler Berkeley, our youngest competitor, heads into camp now. 18 years old, a university student from Inverell. He's been camp drafting since he was 8, and he competed out here as a 16-year-old in 2019.
Score for Andrew Chapman and Acres Mercury is 21.5 for cutout, 60.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 86 points. 86 points for Acres Mercury and Andrew Chapman.
Well, it's hard to believe we've had 9 competitors come out here, or 10 competitors, and almost all of them get through the gate in the end. But Tyler Berkeley now on a horse called Quinton.
Once again, many thanks to Alison Pastoral Company, the Packer family, Rob Teague, the General Manager, and Scott Mitchell, and all the team up at Elliston for the loan of the cattle for the World Championship Camp Draft.
They're famous for the way they produce cattle and breed cattle up there.
Every thing is done properly at Elliston. The stockman, the way the cattle are handled with the horses and the dogs, and everything is done, and these heifers for the World Championship Camp Draft being hand-picked by the stockman up at Elliston. So here we go. Number 11, round number 2. Tyler Berkeley with Quinton, all the way from the New England, the town of Inverell. And Quinton says, well, just better sit back a little tiny bit. He's got a little one that wants to duck and dive, but Quinton says, okay, we can pull her back. Oh, and gets a little quick turn. And she turns right away and goes back around the other way. So unfortunately, there'll be only a cutout score only there for Quinton and Tyler Berkeley. But give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. As we know, no matter what you're doing, things sometimes come undone.
Well, he's an impressive young competitor, and great to see him out here competing again at only 18 years of age.
So a cutout score there for Tyler Berkeley and Quinton of 22 points for cutout. 22 points there for Quinton, ridden by Tyler Berkeley.
Well, this is Grant Botham now in camp. A score of 81 on night 1. The livestock agent and grazier who's been camp drafting for 35 years. He's riding a horse called Samuel's Jewel Acres.
Once again, many thanks to our stewards, Brendan and David Kelly and Emma. Oh, this heifer doesn't want to go back over there. Why she wouldn't want to go back? Because it's a lovely yards and feed and water.
And all the friends.
Just like living on Tyrrells out the back, how these cattle are looked after.
Yeah, they're living the dream. Probably should tell the boys and girls a bit about how this sport came to pass, Jimmy, and it actually began on Australian cattle stations where large mobs of cattle ran unfenced, and the men of the country would pit their riding skills and horse flesh against one another as entertainment in the harsh conditions. So the camp would be the stock, I should say, would be camped out for the night, and they'd be drafted to demonstrate who was the superior horseman and who had the best horses. The friendly rivalry, the boasts over the campfires and the bars about the ability of the stockmen and their horses resulted in the first ever recorded camp draft more than 100 years ago, which was held near Moree in northern New South Wales. And today, it's one of only 3 sports invented in Australia alongside AFL and polocrosse.
Thank you very much, Lindsay, for that information. I've learned a lot here this afternoon. Okay, here we go. The stock agent. Grant Botham, Samuels, Jules, Acres, and he makes his selection, and the Angus Cross heifer right up the face of the camp. And look at Samuels, Jules, Acres, Grant Botham. His eyes are glued to this Angus Cross heifer now. Here they go, and he's got a fast one. Around the first peg they come. Oh, and just as well there's not a radar out there. He could have been picked up for speeding. Okay, they do the changeover. Around the second peg they come. 2 out of 4. Looking for 3 out of 4. Look at Samuels, Jules, Acres now around the second. Boys and girls, I think we better get ready. I think we better look here. Grant Botham straight down the middle. Well, there we go. Michelle and Hayden and Ellie, they be in the stands there still clapping.
Do you get extra points for doing it in the quickest time? I don't think we do, Jimmy. Grant Botham there, he'll be building on a score from night 1 of 81. Tony Mortimer now in camp. Little Abby. Oh, Tony has 5 kids that'll be watching on, and his gorgeous wife, Kim.
Score for Grant Botham and Samuels, Jules, Acres of 23 for cutout, 63.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 90.5. 90.5 points for Samuels, Jules, Acres, ridden by Grant Botham.
Well, now we've now got a tie for second position this evening between Troy Palmer, Alison Sadler, and Grant Botham, all on 90.5, but the score to beat this evening, Adam Sadler, 91.
So here we go with Tony Mortimer. Little Abby. Right up the face of the camp. Trying to get as many points as he can from the judges. Calls for the gate. Out onto the dance floor and got the nice big, look at the lovely body on this heifer here. Around the first peg now, and Little Abby and Tony Mortimer. Oh, look here, he throws the reins out and says, let's go now. We can really tighten this up here now. She's going to run around nicely. Oh, girls and boys, look at this for camp drafting, right up on the beast's shoulder. Looking good, looking good. Tony Mortimer, Little Abby, yes, yes, yes! Well, what a run there, Lindsay Douglas.
What a run indeed. They'll be very happy with that tonight. He's only been drafting for 13 years, which compared to some of these riders is a very short amount of time. He's competed here twice prior to tonight's event. Can't wait to see that score. Well, next in camp is Nigel Kable. He's competed out here 35 times. And on this horse that he's on right now, Chev and Ivory, he's been out here 10 times.
Score now for Tony Mortimer and Little Abby, 23 for cutout, 64.5 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 91.5 points. 91.5 points for Little Abby, ridden by Tony Mortimer.
Well, they go into the lead now. That's the score to beat, 91.5. Well, this gentleman in camp right now scored a 93 on night 1. He's won this competition 4 times. In fact, he won it 3 times in a row.
Nigel Kable. and the legend, Chevron Ivory. The Australian Stock Horse Stallion put into the Australian Stock Horse Hall of Fame a few years ago. And here they are, 2021, out into the Giant Stadium. Chevron Ivory, ridden by Nigel Kable, and stretches right around the first peg. Just covers that heifer up beautifully. Does the changeover. Oh, Nigel hits the GPS now. And look here, around the second peg. Boys and girls, mums and dads, you're going to witness something very special. Come on, Carol, ride with him. Carol, start clapping. Chevron Ivory and Nigel Kable, come on down.
Well, it won't surprise you to know that that stallion out there has won over 120 camp drafts, over $300,000 in prize money, and the Kable family, every single one of them still rides that horse today. He's 23 years old. Will he get the highest score 2 nights in a row here in the World Championship Camp Draft?
Nigel Kable and Chevron Ivory scored 18.5 for cutout, 65 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 87.5 points. 87.5 points for Chevron Ivory, ridden by Nigel Kable.
Well, our last rider heads into camp now. 35-year-old Simone Harvey of Brandy Hill, New South Wales.
Okay, our last competitor, Simone Harvey with Peelvale Jane. Well, things were looking good, but the stampers just fell off the envelope before it hopped in the post office box. So Peelvale Jane, Simone Harvey, just waiting for the other heifer to drift off. Says, I'll try and go up and split them. No, just can't get it away clean at the moment. One just won't come back. This time, no, not this time. This time it is, and Peelvale Jane and Simone Harvey now looking to just point her out towards the gate. And there it is. Says, oh, there it is, and out now into the Giant Stadium. Peelvale Jane and Simone Harvey around the first peg. And the heifer just has a little bit of a look around to see if she can spot anybody in the crowd she knows, I think. Now, around the first peg. And a nice, kind running heifer too. Now, Peelvale Jane and Simone Harvey around the second peg. They just tighten things up here a little bit. Have they got time now to get it over towards the gate? Head towards the member stands. And don't forget, make sure you're a member of the RAS so you can get treated like royalty. And Simone Harvey and Peelvale Jane, they are royalty. Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Our final competitor in round number 2 of the World Championship Camp Draft, brought to you with the compliments of Tyrrell's.
Well, Jimmy Callanan, you wouldn't read about it. I don't think I've ever watched a World Championship Camp Draft round here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show where we have had 13 of 15 competitors get through the gate. Boys and girls, if you haven't seen camp drafting before, you've been treated to something very special here this evening. And the score to beat so far, Tony Mortimer, 91.5.
So Simone Harvey with Peelvale Jane scored 16.5 for cutout, 61 for horsework, 4 out of 4 for the course, a total of 81.5 points, 81.5.
Well, some pretty fantastic camp drafting out here tonight, Jim Callanan, and you've been the voice of it for more years than I can remember. You first came out to a Sydney Royal as a strapper, I think, with Troy Palmer's dad, Bob Palmer, back in 1974. And we've been enjoying listening to you commentate for nearly 40 years in stock horse classes and drafts and camp drafting, polo cross and pony club events, all the way up to World Cup level and at national events like this at the Sydney Royal Easter Show.
Well, Lindsay, I suppose you can go back and remember in the, a lot of people would be able to, in the 50s and the 60s when people rode on the sheep's back. Well, I've been lucky enough to have a ride on the back of the great animal, the horse, in quite a few disciplines, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be involved with the horse family. And all the great competitors. We have a lot of fun and a lot of laughs, and you couldn't be involved with a better family.
Yeah, you've got some wonderful people out there, the Kelly boys from Upper Horton who help out as the pickup riders, and a lot of people here with family history too. You look at their father, Bill Kelly, was a pickup rider at Sydney Royal for many, many years, and their kids today out there in the rodeo arena, showing arena, all having success. A big thank you to our judges, Kenneth McCarthy, Skip from Kempsey, and Matthew McCormick.
Well, first place in the second round. And also, Lindsay, there could be history made here tonight, just looking at the scoreboard with Adam Sadler. I know he shared first place with Tony Mortimer, but Adam Sadler, and then the third place going to his wife, Alison Sadler. So the husband and wife team. So that's something to write down in the back of your book. But I'm here with the winner, Adam Sadler. Congratulations, Adam. The Giant Stadium feeling really good this afternoon on round 2.
Yeah, sure am, Jimmy. It was really good tonight. Those cattle were just awesome. There was a lot of good rounds. Full credit to Alison and everybody involved, Tyrrells, for being on board sponsoring. Really pleased for Alison to put a good round as well. So yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
Okay, thank you very much there, Adam. I might just catch up with the better half, and she's a lot better looking than Adam. But Alison, you must feel pretty good. I can see you smiling when you come around the second peg.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Jimmy. Thank you. Yeah, it's great.
The cattle, the ground, the atmosphere, you would never ride anything like this better.
Never. So lucky. Thank you to Alison.
Okay, thank you, Ali. Congratulations, Tony. So they are the winner and place getters of round number 2. We've seen the Australian stock horse celebrating their 50th anniversary, and you won't see any better. It's been champagne camp drafting. There they go. Come on, Sydney. Give them a round of applause as they leave the arenas, and we'll cross back up to you, Lindsay. Thank you very much.
Well, come on, boys and girls, as they make their way around the arena. Only the finest camp drafters get invited here to the Sydney Royal Easter Show.